So today I want to go over basically my character I'm using. I'm basically just exterminating rogue exiles. But I had a lot of fun doing rogue exiles at the start. At first it was definitely a struggle, but I mean, my current character, I feel like I've basically now hit the point where my only upgrade is I need the reflecting mist and hit this, which, as you see here, I'm pretty close. Like this is the best one I got. I was just saving this. I didn't want to like click it because I might roll for better still. But even this with the 80% reduced LE damage, it's still a massive DPS increase over my current ring. Which obviously, Abyss. I've also been trying to vol the Gilded Fossil on this. That's basically the two upgrades I'm working towards right now. Which obviously gets really expensive. Like, I'm basically using Hinakora's locks on both of these. Like candy. But I mean, it's basically like, that's my final two goals in terms of gear. But other than that, I just want to go over pretty much all the gear, etc. I got this today. Crit chance mageblood. Actually ended up needing it because we went and swapped. We mirrored these jewels, which I was getting my crit cap actually from my one of my jewels, but of course these I POB'd how much DPS they were. We had to switch to them, of course. Of course, we get rage. Use this for rage. Feed the fury. And then I actually switched. At first, I was using two of these, which are int 12 passives, but I started running into a lot of attribute issues, so especially when you actually start tattooing every single dex node, all of a sudden you realize like you can't get dexterity from anything, but this for me was the solution. We just use a 4 all attributes, which ends up actually being 5, so you get 5 all attributes versus like this gives you 10 int, so you're basically losing 5 int per node, but you're also getting strength and dex, so it helps out. I initially went away from Lethal Pride, but then I don't know. I noticed like Intimidate is like was the most damage I could get. I mean, and then also this gives me strength, which when you drop your mage blood and actually get a double corrupt the one strength, it becomes such a massive problem. So this is the fix for me. We just get Lethal Pride. We get a 20 strength node here. Perfect. Obviously get into him, double damage. Pretty much best everything there. Couldn't really ask for better. But other than that, that's the tree. Of course we put light in there, like most nodes possible. But yeah. Of course, Forbidden Flame and Flash, we use Escape Artist. These are infinitely expensive. I mean, basically, I feel like almost everything on the skill tree is like insanely expensive. But other than that here, we can go through the gear now. I mean, the people that double corrupt this without the harvest enchant, I feel is like a little bit criminal, but I bought this pretty early on. I didn't pay much. I only paid like 50 divines. I feel like they're going for like upwards of 200, but I got this for it's just equip and forget it. I mean, of course, got the mirror shield. The socketed gems have extra reservation. Actually, lets you add. So I'm using double. Of course, we have double 50%. Awaken Enlighten. I mean, you don't technically need Awaken Enlighten, but basically, to cast all your curses, as you see here, like you have triple curse with your focus. If you don't have at least enough mana, like see, look here, so it's 61 plus this, it's 85 mana. So you don't have like a little bit over 85 because sometimes you're gonna press it, you're not gonna have 85 mana. But basically, I feel like around 100 feels pretty comfortable for me. One thing I was toying with today was using Mark for Death. I know, I figured calling's kind of nice when you're killing mobs that are somewhat tanky. But as you're going to see in the map I'm going to show, mobs are kind of starting to not be that tanky. Other than that, basically, Mirror Chest, of course. Bubble defenses, Curse Aura, this is Chaos. And then this is like, I feel like this is the most... You don't need one that's this good necessarily, but... Basically, you can aim for like 3 mods. I feel like even a 2 mod, like if you just go int crit multi at this point, because rarity is pretty low value. I mean, ideally, obviously go for like a 4 or 5, but that starts getting really expensive. Like, this is probably going to cost me, I don't even know how many mirrors to finish, like, to be honest, but probably going to be what I, like, farm for the rest of the league until the PoE 2. And then boots. Boots is where you get the rest of your ailment. I can explain the other ailment. You get 50 from boots. The action speed's just unmatched. I couldn't find any pair of synth boots that's gonna beat these in DPS. That's what we go with. And then fire res. I overcap my fire res because we're running Searing Exarch altars. So that means when you're 40 overcap, you can pretty much comfortably click at least one minus res, and it doesn't really affect your survivability. Other than that, I mean, we get crit here as well. And then I just picked up this Watcher's Eye today. Attack damage, attack speed, wrath. This is pretty much... There's one with crit multi I actually wanted, but the guy never was logged in, so... And then I actually picked this up, like, a few days ago. I ended up getting Corrupted Blood with Mana Reservation, which... I mean, as you see here, like, for the curses at least. Because I pretty much wanted to drop as much, like, mana as... I took this again today because... Basically, either have... which just gives you 3 points. There's basically 2 ways kind of to finish the last 3 points. You either get the mana reserve here, or you put the 3 points on the 12 passive and put the mana reserve on here. One gives you like more hit DPS, the other one gives you more like effective DPS technically, but that's about it. The tree, pretty much. I don't think I would change anything about the tree. I feel like this is the only thing to me that's up in the air. Do I put the 3 points here, or do I put the 3 points here, and do a different allocate? But then, of course, we got to do a map. Everyone wants to see how the build performs in the map. As you see here, my lightning strike has 6.8 million DPS in hideout. I mean, if we press like focus, it's 8. That's with no buffs, obviously. But here, I'll show you guys the map mods. Since I didn't want to like even cherry pick one. We picked one that's 150 pack size, 323 quantity, 170 rarity. This one has 87% reduced extra damage from crits, 107 life. Unfortunately, it's not bellied, but I really wanted to pick a juicy one since I even saw it had wildwood. We even saw it had wildwood, so we'll do a wildwood too. Hopefully it's got blue. I didn't actually check the wildwood. But, oh, it actually does. Wow, okay. That's kind of nice. So we get a full juice map here. Here, wait, let's turn D&D on. We will turn D&D on. Of course, wildwood. If you don't know, like, it's always in the diamond formation. If anyone didn't play Affliction League, I mean, you missed out. If you didn't play Affliction League, you missed out, but thankfully, the mechanic's still in the game, so you know. But basically, you're gonna find 2 of the events, and you kind of know where you are, or you can at least have an educated guess based on like where the next wisps are, where the walls are. Like here's probably south and west, I'm guessing. So we're gonna go for north. Could be like obviously northeast from here. I'll probably just take this because we enjoy any blue. I think, in my opinion, blue. If you're gonna look for any color in the wisps, you want to just stack blue in this league. Ooh. And this is gonna be a juicer. This is gonna be a good video. I get to really demonstrate how strong this build is. I think when I popped it, it's about 1 billion DPS with focus up. With focus up and like use your curses, etc. Wait, what's this? Absolute. Whatever, this is fine. We didn't have to like super try hard it. I mean, 10k wildwood, 100% extra life on the mobs, and 100% reduced damage taken from crits. Basically as hard as they get, right? Like, I know when my build is weaker, there's no way we're killing this map, but I feel like there's no way we're not doing it now, you know? I don't know how many mirrors I'm invested total, but it's probably like, I don't even know. Between the idols and the gear, it's probably like 15 to 20 or so. Especially probably more accounting inflation. But you can definitely, like, I feel like you can do something pretty similar with, like, I don't know, 1 to 2. Not gonna be as good, but that's the part of the fun. invest in your character. As you see here, I mean, these mobs literally have double damage and take half damage, so they're gonna be pretty tanky. I mean, this is like probably doesn't showcase that good of my damage. I mean, I guess I could always like do another map after this, but I mean, see how tanky I am too. I figured we might as well show, because any other map we basically like one shot. Like the Rogue Exile is practically a one shot, and the other, like if there's no tank mob, everything dies instantly. So we got to show something where mobs are actually living. I mean, I didn't even realize there's a wild in here too. But $25K, yes, kind of goes hard. I feel like CI ES is just so OP. That's just solo what makes int stacker better than strength stacker. Well, I guess I should have showed my like scarabs and stuff too. We can show that after. We'll show that after. And some people will probably ask. I'll show the scarabs, the idols. Since like I feel like a lot of people like to know that, like always. Probably the most like everyone just spams exclamation mark idols in my stream when I stream. Everyone just wants to see what the idols look like. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's 150 pack size too. It's like, this is as bad as it gets probably for in terms of how tanky mobs will be. 150. Most maps it runs are more around like 140, but you know, sometimes you gotta run some complete giga juicers. I think this one had like 50 pack size or something before I even like started it. I don't know, there's like one downside to my setup too. I'll explain it with the idols after. But all in all, I feel like my idol set is nearly... I have like one mod I'm missing pretty much between all my idols. Which, to put it on is like, I don't even know, I think like the only one that was sold was like 3 mirrors or something it's literally posted for. Which to me it does not seem worth. I don't know, to me this is just like one of the most fun strats PoE's ever had. I feel like I'm having more fun this league than even Affliction in terms of like the amount of gear I'm dropping, like loot I'm dropping, etc. I don't know how you guys feel. Probably, I feel like the people's opinion on the league are very varied. Like the Giga Juicers all probably really like the league. And like the people who like Alk and Go probably less like it, right? Since Alk and Go is like more benefited by the Atlas tree, and then like obviously the high end's just benefited by like the fact that you can get really good idols that are all really expensive. But to me it feels like your like map cost, instead of it being in the per map basis, it like went to the idols. Like you kind of pay a one-time deal on like it almost feels like a one-time scarab that like you never have to fix, you know? I've been like, everyone asks like why you don't use rarity, and for me it's like rarity after the first week or so. Whenever mageblood becomes the only useful unique, I feel like rarity completely loses any of its value. That's my opinion always. Like a lot of times I'm giga rarity stacking until, you know, 1-2 weeks in, and then we just go away from it and just play for speed. But also, like, in the past I've also just kept my rarity too because I just want to like drop magebloods because it's fun, right? It's also like definitely a option. I feel like when you do the strat though, like you're dropping so many uniques anyway, it's like it's like nearly irrelevant. My loot filter's kind of funny. I pretty much only show like stacks of currency and tier zeros at this point almost. I show like some volatile things, but a lot of times I just don't feel like even picking them up. And this is kind of my average, like how I run the map too. I know some people like talk about, you know, getting all the altars, and like for me, I just try to do more maps per hour always. So I'll just click the altars as I go, etc. I think this map actually has the one downside of my idle strategy, because I have a 2% chance to not spawn rituals, and the only way to really fix that is getting it on a 1x3, and 1x3s with that costs a lot, especially when they're like perfect 1x3s. It's like, of course, this is the unfortunate one. I have a 90% chance to spawn rituals, so that means I have a 2% chance to not. The 2% of my maps aren't going to have it. And of course, the 10k juice wildwood doesn't have the ritual, right? That's kind of how the RNG sometimes just... That's how she goes. All good, though. Like, I mean... Whenever you get a Wildwood and you actually have Rogue Exiles, I'm never complaining. Because I think the worst feeling thing is like, you get Rogue Exiles, or you get a Wildwood and then you don't have Rogue Exiles, or kind of never feels good. As you see, that's basically the map. Like, oh, I guess, wait, there's a little bit. Nameless Seer. Surely we get a good Nameless Seer. I haven't found a single good item on a Nameless Seer this league. Has anyone else... You've watched this far. Have you found a good item on a Nameless Seer yet? I believe the best item I found was a Putrid Cluster early on in the league, and I actually just used it to get the map completion. That was the best item I found on Nameless Seer. There, I mean that's the map. Unfortunately, as I said, I guess we can show on the. I'll show my full setup here now too. As you see here. Of course, these Wisps, Legend, Titanic, few Gigas. I don't think there's any Scarabs you can really change. And then here, if people don't know this, I guess this is some huge info for the people who watch this far. Rogue Exiles, at least the maps I tested, City Square, Toxic Sewer, you will have a max of 34 that spawn. So that means from your idols, you need to spawn 34. So as you see here, I have 8. Plus 9, so that's 17. And we have 9 plus 8, so that's another 17. So we have exactly 34, and then we stack maximum 48. And then, of course, font here, pack size, explicit. This is the perfect. Every single 1x3, you want to start at least with this, except you're going to need one of these right here, which you're going to lose the quant for Wild Rogue Exiles are possessed. But all of them are going to look like that, that. As you see here, it's optimal. And then here's the next things. If you can afford the little bit past, because you're going to always need 3% effect. You're going to always need spawn rogue percent chance to spawn X number of Rogue Exiles. You always need that. You always need 3% explicit. And then the luxury is you can get 4 ritual. All your rituals always spawn before. And you can get Scarabs, and your maps are more likely to be less common. These are the two... It's not a mandatory thing, but you can get it. And then here's where we get our ritual chance. As you see here, we have 45. And then Rogue Exiles have 20% chance for a currency item. Obviously, we have 2 of those, so we have 90% ritual. 92% ritual is would mean you have 100% because 8% base chance. I have a 2% chance to not get it. Of course, we didn't get it right there too. That's kind of funny. Funny how it works. And then I guess here's the only other thing. Like, there's my pilfering ring so far. So in my opinion, at least if we're gonna go off Affliction League, I'm below average on mirrors, but I'm actually 100 divines ahead of Exalted Orb, which is kind of cool. It's kind of interesting that we have 100 more divines than Exalted Orbs, especially at that sample size, like 1400, or 1300. But that's basically my build. That's the highest end build I can see getting. I basically didn't want to make this video until my build is to this point too, where basically my only upgrades come from like Hina cores locking something, which I mean I could use a 4 positive here. It would be a DPS increase over this, but I really want to go for the 5. I guess ultimately I can always make another base, go for the 5, but that's it. If anyone has questions, etc. I assume people want like probably a more budget version. I think I might make a video on that because I don't know, I get asked the question so much and I kind of want to just make a build that what I think is like kind of the minimum to be really comfortable. Until next time. That's probably going to be my next video though.